Welcome to the Sports Show. Mike, Max, Patrick, Royce, Lavelli, Neil, and Sid Hartman. Sid, it was a jolly good show in London, England today. The Minnesota Vikings find a way to win. Your thoughts?
Well, the defense was as great as ever. The guy got 381 yards. They got 29 first downs to the Vikings 16. It was no contest, but I thought Allen played pretty good today. I think he rushed that guy, but they're very lucky they didn't go into overtime, because had it gone into overtime, they would not have won that game.
They finally made a play.
Well, it's nice to make three big offensive plays, though. They throw a 5-yard pass to Greg Jennings, and he turns it into 70, and then Peterson jumps over a guy and goes 60. You should win games when you score from 60 and 70, shouldn't you?
Did I hear right that the Steelers had the ball first to go in the fourth quarter? So they were right there again.
They sacked and fumbled them with 12 seconds left.
But they're at that point where there was going to be another late game drive against them.
It was going one way or the other.
And it went the other way.
Although they would have just tied it on the drive, assuming they scored the touchdown.
I heard some observations on the radio today afterwards as some of our analysts were breaking it down, that the good thing is that this now proves the Vikings can get pressure on a team with only using the front four. They don't have to blitz. Well, you're playing the worst offensive team in the league, which, by the way, lost their all-world center. So
is that what they said?
Let's not reach any conclusions here.
They did blitz a lot today.
Yeah, but then down the stretch, they...
More than they normally do.
Down the stretch, they sacked them with just four-man pressure, and I heard a guy saying, see, this is what they can do. Well, maybe if you play a real team.
Yeah.
Sydney, Matt Castle. Leslie Frazier's already said Christian Ponder is the starter going forward because of injury, but I don't see how that holds up.
Huh? He completed his last 11 passes. That was an impressive thing. He had 124 quarterback ranking. Ponder can't play for 2-3 weeks, so don't make any difference.
Well, they got the bye week.
Yeah, they got a bye week, and then, Castle will play when they come back out of the chute. They can say whatever they want to. I did, he certainly played a lot better than Ponder's played, but I heard people talking about the touchdown pass to the end zone, that Ponder could have made that throw. I watched Fulda and Hills Beaver Creek Friday night. The guy from Hills Beaver Creek could have made that throw. What was the big deal?
It's a one-on-one deal. You just throw it to the guy.
Castle's track record says that he's not that much of an upgrade over Christian Ponder.
No,
we have to temper our belief that this guy's going to save the season.
Here's the deal, though. I think he's willing to throw the ball on time instead of take that extra half second.
Here's the deal. He didn't turn it over. He fumbled once, and they recovered their own fumble, but he didn't throw an interception. What do you think Leslie Frazier's going to do? How's he going to... Do you think they just say, we don't like the way you're throwing the ball, Christian? Your rib still looks like it's bothering you, and that way they're off the hook?
I think Ponder will be back in there, because Spielman likes Ponder, and he thinks he's got a good future.
I don't see that one happening.
You know what we have, fellas? 2008, except they're not being as straightforward about it, but Tarvaris Jackson gets hooked after 2 games. They put Farad in. Farad runs the course. Gets a little banged up after game 11, and they go back to Tarvaris Jackson, and that's what's going to happen here.
Yeah, if he gets banged up, then Ponder's sitting there.
You get an excuse.
I don't think I saw E.J. Henderson after the game, and he said this is one of those where Leslie committed to it, but he said now some of the veterans go in and start talking to Leslie about it.
Well, today, first of all, they had Felton back.
You liked him a lot. You thought that was a big difference.
Big difference. He not only
fullback's the savior now.
For Anderson, he made some great blocks on other runs, too.
Alfred Anderson?
Peterson. And then
Alfred, he scored a touchdown once with
Jennings,
his shoes untied. I remember that.
All of a sudden, Jennings comes alive.
Yeah, how do you explain that? And Simpson comes alive.
Okay.
Well, I'd say the ball
those
was
guys
thrown
weren't
to
doing
him.
nothing.
I would say
another thing, Kevin Williams was healthy.
Yep.
And he played a pretty good game today.
But their secondary is not healthy.
Huh?
Their secondary is not healthy. Cook and Sanford and that crew.
Well, they still gave up 27 points.
Even when the secondary is healthy, it's still giving up yards.
Yeah, suspect when it is there.
Exactly.
Which takes him back to Antoine Winfield.
I think Winfield will be in the lineup this week.
Why would he possibly come here?
First of all, it's a bye week,
Why would he
Sid.
possibly come here?
Because they're desperate.
They kicked him to the curb. They kicked him to the curb.
He's going to sign with somebody who has a chance to win.
Someone suggested to me that Winfield's going to wait this out longer than this, figure out, even if he has to wait till the end of the year, and then
He's
wants to
never
go to
been to a Super Bowl.
Yes.
Why would he come
Yeah.
here?
Plus,
He'll
he's
sign with
living in Minneapolis.
That means nothing.
Family's there.
He doesn't care.
You watch and see.
You think they'll sign him, huh?
Huh?
With a bye week?
I think they'll bring him back.
I don't think-
Zero chance. And
I don't think he wants to be
And
here.
it wasn't a harmonious split, right? They kind of kicked him to the curb.
So are the Vikings back in
Don't
this
see it.
thing in your mind? Do you think they can rattle off some wins here and get back in it?
How about the Bears got a kill today?
Well, let's save that.
Didn't
That's
get killed,
his team.
40
When
to
we come
30.
back.
But by the way, they do
32.
have Carolina here, and then they're at the New York Giants, so they can be 3-3.
And once you get to be 3-3,
against-
then but the schedule gets
then it
tougher. But I mean,
nasty.
once you're sitting at 500,
They're not going to beat
take a
Carolina.
break, come back, stay with us.
Bears.
The Sports Show is brought to you in part by Canterbury Park 24/7 Card Club. Don't forget the Card Club at Canterbury Park. Cambria, makers of quality quartz surfaces. Call 1-866-CAMBRIA. Ticket King. For the best price on tickets anywhere, try Ticket King. Soundpoint Audiology. Life is worth hearing. And Cuisine Concepts. Bar Abilene at Lagoon and Fremont in uptown Minneapolis. And Franklin Street Bakery at 11th and Franklin in South Minneapolis, just down from Mall of America Field. And Taste of the NFL. Proud to be the premier Super Bowl party with a purpose to support hunger relief locally and nationally.
Locally owned, nationally known, J.D. Hoyt's on Washington. Stop on by, fill your plate, and boy, have a good time anytime you're coming to downtown Minneapolis. That's the place to go. Yeah, the Chicago Bears, they let one slip away, Lavelle.
Well, fortunately, I was covering the Twins game. Well, maybe that's not fortunate to be covering the Twins game, but I wasn't able to focus on the game as much. But Cutler made a couple mistakes. I think he threw an interception at the 2-yard line. Apparently pouted a little bit on the sideline.
Gave a sack, it turned into a touchdown. He fumbled it.
So, you can't go on the road and make mistakes like that. And, Detroit's feeling it right now, man. They've got that offense at full throttle, and they think their defense is caught up to their
I had
offense.
Detroit in my survivor pool. You could see that one 100 miles away.
You took it in survivor pool?
Yes, the Lions were going to win that game. You could
took the
see that
Chiefs.
one 100. Always take the team that has to win. That's
The
my-
team that has to win?
has to win.
Okay.
I'm just thinking
like
back to when Dark Star used to sit on this
Right.
panel.
They
And
might
when
have the best defense.
In the division.
Defensive
they gave
line
up
in the
32
league.
points.
Yeah, they still
Huh?
gave up 32 points.
They gave up 32 points.
It's a talented defensive line, but it may not be
They're
the
pretty
best.
good though. Their line.
Yeah, the line's good, yes.
Let's move on to the Gophers.
See if they can win on the road.
You were I've never seen you that disappointed as you were yesterday.
You
Well,
haven't
And
been
I've
was,
seen you
because,
disappointed.
I didn't think Iowa was that good. I think Iowa's a pretty good football team. I think Iowa will win some games.
They're at the bottom of the Big Ten, which means the Gophers may be below the bottom of the Big Ten. If they lost to that squad, did you see the holes that were opened up by the offensive line for those kids to run through?
I
Sid?
thought I was talking.
He's disputing your comments.
Yeah, what do you...
Like you cut me off all the
Counterpoint.
time.
Any time in football, your offense and defensive line get killed, you don't win games.
I got to go with that.
And the
I
Twins-
Write that down.
The Twins are 66-0, and they outscore the opponent.
got to go. I got to go
And
with
so,
that.
so where are we at with the program right now? I mean, do you feel okay about the Big Ten schedule? What do you think?
I don't know who they can beat. I don't know what's going to happen. They played terrible yesterday. Let's face
Yeah.
the fact. And Iowa played probably as good as they can play. We'll see.
That cost them a bowl game.
They'll win a couple of big
I think.
Well,
Iowa's
look at this,
They'll win
Patrick.
at Indiana.
Patrick, look at this. They're at Michigan next week.
They lose.
They're at Northwestern.
They'll lose.
They're home against Nebraska.
They can win.
They could beat Nebraska.
Nebraska's a bunch of frauds.
Okay, then you got Indiana.
They'll
Yeah.
win.
And home against Penn State.
They'll win.
And then
They'll
they
beat
still
Penn
keep
State?
going. There's still more games left.
Yeah. They'll win. They'll win
Yeah,
2-3
Wisconsin,
Big
Michigan
Ten
State
games.
in
They'll
there.
win 2-3 Big Ten games.
If Purdue's terrible, they don't on the schedule, huh?
No,
Purdue.
they don't have Purdue.
Ooh, the Northern Illinois put a smackdown on them.
No, but I got to say, in Jerry Kill's third year, I didn't expect to see a clunker like that. I didn't expect him. I didn't expect him to no-show for the Big Ten opener, and I thought it was an absolute dog effort by the Gophers. And now I'm watching on TV. I wasn't there in person, but I thought they stunk.
And when the Gophers sell their programs and they have like the starting lineup there, they should scratch off QB and put SC for signal caller, because what they have is not a quarterback. They have a guy who takes the signal, takes a snap, hands it to a running back, runs with it or throws an incomplete pass.
You being an Illinois man, what's the bargain with your school?
I know.
They haven't won forever.
We went to a bowl game 2 years ago.
They're the biggest dogs in the league.
Oh, I wish we played the Gophers now.
So what
They beat the Gophers, beat them every time.
I know Illinois'
Go
program
ahead.
is down.
Were you-
So is the Gophers.
Sidney, how did you feel about the quarterback change, Nelson instead of Leitner?
I finally came to the conclusion of what they were doing.
I'm glad somebody did.
Here comes the theory.
I expected the other kids to start. So they were getting ready for them all week.
The old trickaroo.
Huh?
The old trickaroo.
Yeah. And they figured that they could throw the ball against Iowa. And
Here's what
the
they
other
figured.
kids.
Here's what they figured.
Huh?
They figured in the Big Ten you got to be able to drop back and throw the ball.
Okay.
Okay, and
Gotta have a
Nelson
little
can do
protection
that.
too.
Right, but they figured Nelson can do that better than Leitner.
Do you see
I'm-
the passes he missed, though, on Saturday?
But I'm just saying,
Yeah.
if you compare the two and you say, okay, if you got time in the pocket, who's going to complete more passes? Nelson's the guy.
I don't know. I think what I would have done is after having this kid run through people for 6 quarters, I would have tried a 7th quarter and see if they could stop him. If they stop in the first 2 series, bring in Nelson. You're not going to fool them.
What's wrong with that? Yeah.
One thing I'll say though is Iowa. I mean, you could see their defensive line the way they held their lanes. They had prepared for Leitner all week because they just stayed in their lanes. They weren't going to let you break contain.
But Nelson will run too.
Yeah.
So,
He can run a
you
little bit.
To me, he said you play the same defensive style against both quarterbacks because they're a lot alike. Just Leitner's a little better runner.
Now I think Iowa was getting ready for a running quarterback, and
Boy, we fooled
but it
them.
didn't make any difference.
The old trickaroo.
You Hawkeyes, boy, did we have you on the run.
The old trickaroo
God.
again.
But how about the effort? Where was it? What that they got to be better than this.
Whooped it
They
home.
can't be that bad.
At home.
I think Iowa won some games. I really do.
Yeah, but
They lost to Northern at home.
Physically, Iowa was better than the Gophers. There's no
Yeah.
question.
Iowa
Why?
Gophers were favored, weren't they?
Take a break, come back, stay with us. The Sports Show.
Weren't the
They
Gophers
never
favored?
touched.
The Sports Show is brought to you in part by Allery's, the original St. Paul sports bar, now with 65 beers on tap.
Howdy, stop on by, see Bruce Bonine, Charlie, and the whole gang right off of 394 and General Mills Boulevard. What a perfect ride for any season. I'll take it up hunting this week probably at some point in time, the Q7. Welcome back
I hope
to the
you're not
Sports
going
Show.
to Murray County pheasant hunting. I drove around southwestern Minnesota for 2.5 days and didn't see a bird.
Didn't see a bird?
I was on gravel roads and
Were you looking
country
for birds?
roads.
No, let me ask you something. Did you see
Well,
any
I always
water?
look. I grew up looking for birds.
Once you
That's-
grow up looking for birds, you look for birds the
The
rest of
only
your
thing
life.
missing is the 410 in the back seat. That's the only thing.
May or may not have been case.
You a hunter?
As a
Back in
kid,
the day. But did you see any water?
You and Grant ought to get
a
together.
little bit of water.
Because they drain so much.
Murray County looked like it had some water, but then I came back on Highway 30 there, and there were a lot of dry, stored
Yeah.
in that area, a lot of dry
Not dry.
ponds there.
Hey, Sidney, what do you think about Lane Kiffin getting fired?
Well, don't surprise me because he's kind of a unique person.
What does that mean? When Sid says unique.
The athletic director at Southern Cal is one of the nicest guys in the world.
Pat Hayden.
And I think he and Hayden weren't getting along, and Hayden was just waiting for the right time to let him go when they
Well, it
scored.
happened
2
last
weeks
night.
ago when they lost to Washington State might have been the right time, but I think he's getting so much heat. It wasn't only the big Southern Cal boosters who were famous for putting pressure on, but the fans. They couldn't have had him show his face in the Coliseum again.
They said that the recruits are starting to knock USC off the recruiting list, and that's a big deal because USC never had problems with recruiting, especially at home.
You're an
And they
expert
were
in
starting-
Southern Cal now.
Well,
too,
I'm just
huh?
doing my reading, Sid. I prepare for the show.
They said they had
You
eight.
know nothing about
Said
Southern
they had
Cal.
8
You just always
commits.
tell me about something in 1968.
Sid, in the last 6 months, they've had 8 of their big commits reneged.
Yes.
Here's the thing.
Yeah.
If you can't win there,
Yeah.
you can't win no place because they take care of, they got 8 million ways to take care of. They got caught though on the stuff. The
Well,
only
yeah,
reason I don't think he should have got fired is that with those NCAA violations, they can't recruit.
That was the biggest fiasco in history.
Well, they can't
Giving-
recruit. The
Giving
scholarships
Southern
were
Cal
dosed.
that much punishment for Reggie Bush's parents getting paid by a booster, not by a booster, but by an agent is ridiculous.
But, I mean, that whole thing, too, as long as you got 2 deep strong, and we look at Ohio State, they got ravaged. Oh, boy, what do you do? Go undefeated. Because you're going to play those kids anyway that you're not, those scholarships you lost aren't going to be on the field anyway.
The scholarship reduction is not that big of a deal because they still have enough top-end talent on
Maybe
roster.
the bowl, if kids want to get recruited to go to the bowl.
I didn't see how bad did the receiver get hurt.
They don't have a quarterback.
Isn't that something that you think?
Yeah. You don't have a quarterback, you don't win.
And the receiver got pulled off the field, carted off the field late in the game.
The best player, the captain. Yeah,
Marquise Lee.
How are we feeling about the Twins? Lavelle, you're out there. Is this the worst lineup you've ever seen? I mean, in general, in September this year?
This may be the worst Twins team I've ever covered.
Yeah.
Even worse than that 99 loss team that had all the injuries. Just because of the lack of talent they have. Major League ready talent, the pitching. The strikeouts. This team is going to be fourth all time in Major League Baseball in team strikeouts. It's got the worst batting average since like 1968. The least runs scored since 1982. The stats on this team are just horrible.
I heard Vladdy tell us this today. How many times they strike out in double digits? 67?
63 now.
I thought it was, no, 66 or 7.
Well, they won 66 games.
They strike out because they stink.
But
the players are no good.
The most ever in franchise history before this year, 26. 26. They struck out in double digits 63 times.
And they've had
You were right. How are they going to be any better next year?
And they
have lousy players, you strike out.
And they've had 26 double-digit strikeout games since the start of August.
But we think Gardy will be back and his staff.
I'm anticipating the afternoon press conference tomorrow.
Go to hell. I don't want to come back and try to get the Cubs job or something.
Do you think in this day and age he'd know if he had it? In other words, do you think the Cubs would have made overtures and say, hey, just don't sign if they really wanted him?
I think there's illegal tampering that goes on all the time.
Sure, there's, but and that's not hard to do.
An agent.
Yeah, the agent knows.
I got to know Epstein a little bit when he was at the Red Sox. And here a couple of years ago, he was up here with the Red Sox, and he was singing Gardy's praises, thinking that he wins with less talent than most teams have. So there's something to that.
Well, now he's losing with less talent.
Here's the only thing about him going to the Cubs. Theo Epstein is going to be, historically, he's been on as managers about not bunting, and he's going to throw all those sabermetric stats at him and tells him you need to platoon in one of the positions. And those are 2 things that Gardy, I think is entrenched in on the ups and downs.
About a week after the All-Star game in 2001, I think I figured out they're 151 and 242. There are 91 games under 500.
Not 2001, 2011.
2011. 2.5 years. They went 19 and 50 to finish 2011. And now they lost 96 2 years.
Lavelle, who would you put on the cover of the media guide, which is kind of the symbol of who you think represents your team? Seriously. You got Joe Mauer with a question mark because of the concussions, no matter, even though...
Byron Buxton.
If they run Buxton and Sano out there...
I take a picture of the whirlpool. That's what I do. I take a picture. Or I take a picture of the trainer going through the clubhouse asking somebody if they'd think about playing tonight. Would you consider playing tonight? This is the biggest collection of sissies, jackasses. They got a manager who won't tell somebody to play. Why the hell are Pinto and Arcia taking the whole last week off? Play! Robinson Cano misses 2 games a decade, and these jackasses give everybody every game off.
Gardy says Arcia has a sore knee.
Oh, isn't that too bad? God almighty, I hate him. I hate him.
Sid?
Unbelievable.
Unbelievable. Take a break, come back. Stay with us on the Sports Show.
God.
The Sports Show is brought to you in part by Case Law. For all your legal needs, not your typical law firm. Griffin Bail Bonds. It's better to know us and not need us than to need us and not know us. And Perfect Ash, that tobacco place in Lilydale where you're only a stranger once.
Bar Abilene, corner of Lagoon and Fremont, uptown in Minneapolis. Stop on by, check out some of that guac and chips and much more. Delicious
calmed
just
down.
looking at it. You okay
calmed
now?
down.
Good. I'm going to get you jacked
Just
up
don't
again.
mention the Twins in my
I
presence
won't mention
again.
the
will
Twins,
you?
but how do you figure the Timberwolves? Talking about injury.
Yeah, but Chase Buttinger.
Chase Buttinger's out before the season starts.
Yeah, that's, I'm glad Flip's doing a bang-up job. He's got us Shabazz. He got us a guy that was hurt, who never made it to opening day, so now we get to see more of Shabazz.
What an organization. You know, now they're guilty of some self-inflicted wounds through the years, but they have more bad luck than any organization I've seen.
Sidney?
He's an expert in all sports.
I read, Sid.
If I was Glenn Cavier, I'd have him cover hockey one week, then I'd have him cover the Twins another
Tell us
week.
about the Timberwolves.
Gophers.
What do you think of Buttinger getting hurt?
Huh?
What do you think of Buttinger's loss for another season?
Same guys are hurt all the time. It reminds me of Grant when he was coaching the Vikings. The ritual we had, I would come down, go to his suite, and okay, I'll write down the 10 guys that'll be in the training room within 1 week. And he was always right.
You know what's funny about that? I had a general manager of a station one time tell me I can tell you who's going to use all their sick days before the year starts,
That's
and I'm
right.
always right.
Really?
So it's the same. And
Wow.
my point being, there's a human nature factor to that.
Wow.
You went up with Flip though in his office. What did he tell you?
Flip, I went up to the office because I wanted to get a chance to talk to Edelman.
Oh, what did he say?
Well, he's happy to be back, and he thinks the team will be better than last year, much better scoring.
Was that before Buttinger got hurt or afterwards?
After.
Yeah.
He's one of our shooters,
Yeah,
isn't he?
who's going to shoot 3-pointers now?
I'm convinced of one thing. If they start the season and are playing well, they'll go out and spend big money for one more player.
Where? How?
I don't know how somebody...
He hasn't thought that through yet.
Huh?
If the salary
I mean,
cap-
you think Taylor wants to go over the so he has to pay big
he wants
escrow
to
money?
win one time with this organization.
Well, I don't think it'll be this year, but maybe the following
Yeah, the
year.
following year.
Yeah. Thanks, guys. Everybody
We're
calm down.
worried
now?
about. By the way, we're worried about Rubio getting the max. What do you get? 2 points for Spain and the. You know,
Yeah.
I mean-
Don't worry. Flip said that's different in Europe than here.
Oh, okay. All right.
The Sports Show is brought to you in part by Canterbury Park 24/7 Card Club. Don't forget the Card Club at Canterbury Park. Cambria, makers of quality quartz surfaces. Call 1-866-CAMBRIA. Ticket King. For the best price on tickets anywhere, try Ticket King. Soundpoint Audiology. Life is worth hearing. And Cuisine Concepts. Bar Abilene at Lagoon and Fremont in uptown Minneapolis. And Franklin Street Bakery at 11th and Franklin in South Minneapolis, just down from Mall of America Field. And Taste of the NFL. Proud to be the premier Super Bowl party with a purpose to support hunger relief locally and nationally.